All right. Good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know or who are on the recording, this is Ed Carter with Trader Vision, and we're going to have our September 15th workshop here. I'll try to keep it to about an hour, but if it goes over, it goes over. I will post a recording both to the website and to YouTube tonight. And good evening, Francis and Stu and everybody else. Before we get started, let me ask if there's anybody here who does not own or at least have the free trial of Trader Vision. Don't feel shy about it. I've been asking, okay. Well, since some of you do, let me first of all post a link. That link will take you to the free trial page. I would like to walk us through that real quick because I get a lot of questions about this, and I just want to get it clear for anybody who doesn't know. If you click that link, let me go to screen sharing. And now let's open my browser. If you go to that link, and for those of you who are watching the recording, there is the link up there, https://ob124.infusionsoft.com/app/trader-vision-free-trial. Take you to this page. If you put in your name, and let's just pick an email address I think I haven't used in a while. How about ed@trader? There we go. Let's use that. Submit the registration. You will get a splash page here when this processes. But that's just a thank you page. This video link will now take you to, I'll wait for the screen to catch up. I'm sorry about that, folks. I keep forgetting I've got a terrible video lag here. This link will take you to a welcome video. But what you're really looking for is, and let's pull this up, is the email that will also be triggered. And let me drag this over. Okay, that inbox. Get message. Okay, I'm not going to wait on that email to come through, but it will look like this right here. And what you would do is click on this link that says Start Free Trial, and that will get you off and running. It will be an order page. You just need to put in your name, email address, and I think it takes physical address too, but I'm not sure. And hit submit. There's no credit cards or anything of that nature needed. But for the software distribution through the website, we do need to go through the order process. So that will be how you go through it, and that will then trigger another email to you. That other email will look like, let's scroll down here. Will look just like this one. And that will have a link to your, this is an old one, but it will have a link to download either the Windows or Mac versions, whichever you need. It will have your license number down here, as well as the email address that it was set under. And you'll need that information then to do your registration. Once you install, which only takes a few seconds, the download takes a few seconds, installation takes a few seconds, and then you'll open it up and get a registration page where you input your license number, email, and name. And then you'll be off and running. So I apologize for taking us on the sidebar, but I get this question so often that I wanted to make sure that we covered it tonight. By the way, for those of you who don't know, this is products Trader Vision 2020 tutorial on the website menu. From the application itself, it's the manual button, and you'll get this page. This is all the videos for the free trial series that you should get, but you can come here and watch them if you want to binge watch them. You can certainly do that. All of the workshops, including tonight's, is then listed down below under Trader Vision Workshops. Okay, so I got that stuff out of the way. Let's get on to the regular program. Again, I'm waiting on the screen to catch up. And it looks like we are there. Let's go back to slides. Can everybody tell me that if they can see the slides? Yes. Okay, excellent. So, on tonight's agenda, I was asked to go through goal view and setting goals again, so we'll do that. Then I've got 3 trades for Friday, and if we have time, I have a 4th trade that I have decided to skip, and I will tell you why and show you, and perhaps some people will like it and want to take it. And then finally, we'll do any questions and answers you have. Okay, so let's get started. We'll go through a live example, but just for now, I wanted to show you this slide. This is what the new goal view looks like. This is where you're going to plan your financial objectives, your strategy, blueprint, plan. You pick the term to reach your goal. Decide whether or not it's rational or reasonable, and be able to see it in terms of your the graphic display. And I will go through this, but the green area is your goals. The 2 orange areas are your plan to reach your goals. The tan box is the difference between your plan and your goals, and you want to try to give yourself a little bit of slack there so that your plan actually exceeds your goals slightly. Francis, I am not, but you should be. Yes, Barb, I am recording. And yeah, we are recording. Drag it out of the way. I'm a couple versions ahead because I'm working on some bugs, which I guess should bring up a point I will make, and that is a new version may come out in the next day or 2. One of the things we're working on is there's continuing problems with the emails. For those of you who enrolled in the free trial, you should get a series of emails, and I mean a bunch of them that I wrote, 13 or 15, something like that, over 30 days. And most of them, or all of them, include a video linked to help walk you through the process of Trader Vision. Those were the videos I showed you under the free trial series tag on the website tutorials page. And but for some reason, most people get them, some people don't, and we can't figure out how to solve the problem of people getting them. So we're working on right now that they will come via pop-up message in the application, and we'll get around the email altogether so that people will have the ability to go directly to the web page, view the message, view the video without having to receive the email, because some people just are not getting our emails, plain and simple. So we are working on that. Let's slide over to, well, I guess I'm going to go through a couple more things. So let's go through the specifics now of setting your goals. The first thing you want to do is set a reasonable goal, a SMART goal. And I've shown this to you before, but I'm showing it to you again, and I can give you the download link if it's needed. But this is just an idea of what compounding means. So if you plan on a monthly basis and you plan to make 0.5% gain per month, you're making 6%, a little over 6% for the year after it's compounded. If you make 2% per month, that's almost 27% per year once it's compounded. And you can see then all of the variations there. You can see my description of what each of these levels, where it falls into the continuum of being a entry level to a truly elite master trader. You can see how that all falls in there. But and I believe Rick has mentioned this here recently. If you're making 10% per month, I want to talk to you because I want to pick your brain. That is truly elite. But some people probably do. I'm not sure if it's a long-term thing, but I've heard people brag that they do. At any rate, this is a guide for you, give you a rough estimate where you're starting. I like to use the rule of 2. You start with 1%, get to 2, then 2 to 4, and then 4 to 6. You're just trying to get better. You're continuously improving until you reach the maximum of what you can do with the time you're willing to put into it and the tools you have in place. Let's go on here, just another slide. Okay, and so within the Trader Vision application, we need to then figure out, once we've got a goal set, so that's your 1% a month, 2% a month, 5% a month, whatever your number is, you'd have to find something that's realistic for you and your experience level and your ability as a trader. Now we need to create a plan to meet your goal. And to do that, we basically need 4 variables. We need to know what is our average win size, what is our average loss size, what is our winning percentage of our trades, and how many trades are we going to do per month. And as you'll remember, and as we will go through this, you can also do your planning on a weekly basis, but I'm just going to use monthly, which seems to be what most people use as our example here. So, using those 4 variables, you'll have to iterate. You'll have to go through, and I'll run an example for you. We'll have to play with those 4 variables to find both realistic and reasonable numbers that still achieve our goal. And if we can't do that with realistic numbers, we need to lower our goal. It's that simple. Those 4 variables have to give you a number that exceeds your goal, and if they don't, you'll never meet your goal, so you need to lower it to something more realistic. Then the second step of planning is to figure out how much you're willing to invest or risk in every single trade in order to achieve that plan. And again, you have to find something that is realistic, and if you can't find a number that allows you to fit it, you'll have to again adjust your goal and start over. But that's the basic process. It's fairly straightforward, but it sounds complex when you're not looking at the tool. And then of course, give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. You want your plan to be greater than your goal so that you're not missing your goal, but not exceeding it by 15% either. And then finally, if things aren't realistic, as I said, you have to lower your goal and redo the plan. Okay. Let's go ahead and drop that down. I guess I need to switch to screen sharing. There we go. And now I need to switch to application, and I need to minimize that. How do I minimize that? I'm not sure how to minimize it. Well, that's one way. Okay, so this is the application. Again, I'll wait for the screen to catch up. And let's walk through an example. I was given the rough example of a $70,000 account today, and so I ran this example based off that number. So let's just say, and I backed into this from this particular test account. Let's say that you've got 73,000 and change in your account right now. What's our goal at the end of 12 months? Well, if our goal at the end of 12 months is to make 1.71% per month, let me find that. If we go back here, you can see that 1.71% is going to put us somewhere between probably 22.5%, something like that, right in that range for an annual basis. And I think most people will think 22% on an annual basis is pretty darn good. Does anybody disagree with that? Do you have a different number that you think we should use? Have I lost everybody already? Okay, I will assume that we are all on board here. Uh, you think we want to make 4% per month, William? Okay. That's going to be a much higher number, but let's run it up. Yeah, there's a if we try to run 73,444 up to 118,000 in 12 months, that's 4.03%. Um, that gives you an idea of what you're looking at. I think that's going to be pretty aggressive for some of the newer people in here, but I'll run it both ways just to give you an idea. So now we have to come up with what our average win size is, average loss size, win ratio, and trades per month that I talked about earlier here. You'll see the values off of the account pulled in here, and you should not pay any attention to those. This is a demonstration account, and so the numbers aren't good. But if we're going to try to make 4% per month, we're going to need to increase something dramatically here. Let's run this up to, well, just for grins, let's say $300. We keep our losses at $100. We need to win about 75% of our trades or more. I guess more. Yeah, we need to win a lot. So if we won 80% of our trades, which is not realistic, I don't believe, we'd have to do about 14 trades a month, which is a little over 3 per week, to reach our goal. But again, if we thought 80% win rate was realistic, keeping the average losses below 100 and the average wins above 300 per trade, we could, in fact, achieve that goal. Now the question is, what do we need to do to make a reasonable trade? If we do this on 3% trades, then our average trade, which is the average of wins and losses, has to be almost 10%. That's way too high. We would need to increase this. Probably we'd need to get it up around 5% of our account per trade to get that down to a reasonable number, which is just under 6%, to achieve this beating our goal by almost 2%. We can see all of that down here. The gray area, dark gray area is our past performance. The light gray area is a projection forward of our most recent past performance. The green area is our goals. The orange line is our plan. And if you can see it, there's a slight yellow line. Let's just double click that to expand it. You can see that the yellow area shows that our plan is above our goals. If our plan was below our goals, let's do this. Let's run this down. Now we have a red area where our goals are above the orange line, which is our plan. And again, I'm just double clicking to open and close that expanded box. You can also highlight a particular section and it will expand to just show that section. And all I did was left click, highlight, and let go. Double clicking again will take you back here. So that's what a plan would look like to reach that high goal. Let's run this thing back down here now to something what I think is a little bit more realistic. And somebody said 2% per month is what Niall said. Let's try this, which is if we run 73,000 up to 93,000, that's 1.99% per month. That's good enough for government work. If we're doing that, we're way high. Let's get our win rate down first to something reasonable. Let's say, let's just say that we're going to win 55% of our trades, a little over half, which seems pretty doable. Average win size at 300 and 100, maybe that's a little bit steep. Let's give ourselves even a little bit more slack. Let's run this down to 250 is our average win, and let's say 125. That may be high. We probably want to give ourselves a little more than 2 to 1. Let's just say 115. How about that? At a 55% win rate, we're coming up short. So now we either need to lower our goal, increase the number of trades we're doing per month, or figure out how we're going to be able to have a better average win or a smaller average loss. Let's just, for argument's sake, say that, well, we'll go to 16 trades per month. We're still coming up short. So about the only thing we're going to be able to do is start increasing our win rate realistically, in my opinion. Of course, you may be able to manage the win and loss ratio better and make your improvement there. But one way for us to get there with 16 trades a month is to win 58% of our trades. Less than 60% still seems like it's something reasonable that we could do. Again, we are beating our plan by 1.38%. I don't want to trade anywhere near 5% of my account. If I had 3% of my account per trade, that's 2203 based on this 73,444 number. Then the average of wins and losses together. So on this, let's call it out of every 10 trades, we're going to have 4 losses and 6 wins. We're going to have 4 losses of 115, 6 wins of 250. We'll have an average trade of plus 4.3%, almost 4.4%. And that seems like a very doable plan. If you don't think so, then you play with these variables to come up with a better plan. If none of those work, you need to lower your goal balance and then rework the plan to come up with a number that gets you to this monthly profit goal with a little bit of slack for yourself, because you're going to have a bad month here or there, and a reasonable sized trade per trade. And 3% of your account is probably not too bad in terms of trade size. Even if you wanted to go down to 2.5%, now we've got to have an average of wins and losses that comes out to plus 5.27%. That might even be reasonable, but just to be conservative, I'm going to say 3%, and that gets us down to less than 5% average trade, which seems quite reasonable. You will find after a few months that you will be able to adjust these figures and increase your goals, improve your plans, and do a better job. William, yes, you could work it. You could fill the goal in last, but the plan difference would not calculate correctly. I mean, you could set these four variables that to what you feel the appropriate numbers are, and then change your goal balance. But this will not show you whether or not that plan will reach your goal. So it's kind of backward thinking from the way we planned it. But there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. It just may be a little bit harder to come up with a plan that actually meets your goal if you're creating the plan before you set the goal. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Okay, I'll assume it did. That's the basic premise. When you come up with a plan that you feel matches your ability to work, um, ability to trade, you save that plan. And now your goal per trade is to make $250. So let's go back here. Back to my slides. And swap monitors. Wow. Come on, you. Sorry, guys, I got too many things overlapping on too many screens. So, before we go forward, let me ask. William, I can't do that. You're asking me to. There are hundreds of features that will be added. The whole look and feel of the application will be upgraded. It will look much more like Windows or like Thinkorswim, a much slicker look and feel. It will be separable so that in the new interface you'll be able to have trade view open and the dash view open and charting open and anything else, performance view that you want, all at the same time in either sub windows of the main application, or you can separate them out one at a time and pull them off to a different monitor. And there is a lot of additional features that are being added. Many of the things that you guys have requested or asked about in the past. I'm not prepared to give a presentation on that. More than what I'm trying to put in, I don't want to promise things until I get them in and see them working. Because there's a chance something may be technically impossible in the time frame we're trying to work. Brad, at the current moment, the answer is no. It interacts with Yahoo Finance, which is 15-minute delayed. In the next version, we are working on integration to brokerages, and we'll look at that, which will be live data, live prices. And again, that's something that we're working on, and I'm waiting to hear back from TOS, but we're moving ahead with interactive brokers and some others. But I believe we should be able to achieve this. I see some people typing, so I'll hold on. Are there any other questions about setting goals or goal view? Right now it's your manual input. I don't understand what you're saying. It looks up, it gets the current price. When you select a ticker, you put in the price that you want to enter at. You know, it can't read your mind. And the price where you want to have your stop and the price where you want to have your targets. But it will pull the current price off of Yahoo Finance. That price will just be 15-minute delayed. That's the best we can do at this point. And you would be surprised if you looked into it how expensive real-time data is. And I did extensive research on this, but it's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per month, which we simply don't want to invest in at this point when we can go through brokerage integration, which was where we were headed anyway. Okay, if we don't have any questions on setting goals, it's not end of day data. It's just 15-minute delayed, but yeah. Yes, William. Yeah, I will continue developing this, and I'm adding things all the time. And when version 2 comes out and we work with it, I am sure Nini, the question was, let's go back a couple of screens. Why does your difference between my plan and my goal, why is it yellow? It's yellow because your plan, which is in the orange, exceeds your goal over the time frame. So then if you lowered any of these variables or some of these variables, it would turn red at some point. And that means at that point, your plan will not reach your goal. And so you need a plan that is higher, delivers higher performance to reach your goal. So this percentage is what percentage your plan is relative to your goal. It's not a percent gain. So your goal is to make 1.71% per month. Using these particular variables, your plan will come out at 1% more than that. So whatever 1% of 1.71 is what you'll be doing better. Robin, that's a very individual thing. I cannot say what is a reasonable return for your small account. Yes, no, the color is yellow for plan above goal and red for plan below goal. It will not turn green. We already used the green color for the goal. And I want to keep the graph color coded, so we're not going to reuse green. Robin, to answer your question, I can't give you what's the reasonable return for your small account. I can tell you, I showed you what let me finish answering Robin. I can only, I showed you that file that shows the compounding. I would tell you that you're better off from a psychology standpoint to start with a low goal. If you don't know, if you've never traded before and you don't know what you've done in the past, I would start with a goal of making 1% per month. If you can do that consistently, you can beat that, the first month or two, up the goal. You can record and save as many goals as you want, and in that way continue improving. That will help you from a psychological standpoint. Feel good about yourself as opposed to always not meeting your goal. I know some people, like that 4% goal that William threw out there earlier. Um, some people would never make that. In fact, never make half of that, and they would be dejected very quickly by setting a huge goal. And but by the same token, if you are going to do 4% per month, and you've done that in the past, it's no sense setting a goal of 1%, 2%, whatever. Set it at 4. So I can't tell you what's a reasonable monthly return for your account. It's an individual thing, depends on where you're at in your trading life, how much experience you have, how good you are at it, how much time you're putting into it, all sorts of factors like that. Are you a trader that puts in 1 hour a week? Or are you a trader that puts in 10 hours a day? Those things all matter. Okay, Francis, does the trade size only go to 25 or 20%? Uh, uh, yeah, that is. Uh, I don't want to support you, and I strongly discourage you from putting 25 to 33% of your account in a single trade. That's that's just begging to go broke. Having trading that huge, that is a very risky thing to do. If you want to do it, we can probably accommodate it, but that is a very, very risky plan to undertake. CPS, if we are just starting to use this now, do we use the current goal as opposed to future planning? And let me see if I can flip back to that just a second. Doggone it. Okay, let's minimize it. And back to, I'm sorry guys, but for recording purposes, I'm recording on one screen and I've got Omnovia on another screen and I'm flipping back and forth here. Okay, so if you're talking about down here, those are different views of the graph. And let me just show you what I mean. So this is for future planning, is for planning purposes when you're working on something. If you want to then look at the current goal that has been saved, just as it's been saved, that's what you do is go to that current plan view. If you want to compare the last couple of plans that you've saved for this account, you can do that, and you can see that they are then color coded with the current ones being in solid lines, and the newest prior one, which is the most recent one before the one that is current, they're in dashed lines. And then you could even look at the last 3, and the older ones are then dotted lines. Again, the goal is set as a green line or dashed line or dotted line, but always green, and the plan is always in orange. Roger, you would set your average win size to be twice as big as your average loss size. That's how you would set a 2-to-1 ratio as what your plan is to reach. Does that make sense? And I would suggest doing it a little higher than 2-to-1, but that's your call to make, and you have to find reasonable numbers based on your trading. William, I assume the analysis area you're talking about is performance view, and I'm not going to have time to go through that during the recorded session, certainly. We're already 40 minutes in here, and I haven't started getting to the trades, so that's probably going to have to be another day. If you change your goal from month to month, can you continuously carry the data from previous months forward? I don't these are saved. You know, if I go up here at the top of the screen around my goal, it pulls down and it shows all of the previous goals that I have set and the plans that I have to reach those goals when I set them. So is that what you mean by carry it forward? Yes, they're always carried forward, but your current plan is always the one that the application uses for telling you whether or not you're on track to meet your plan. Why do I not see the same chart as yours? Nini, can you describe that better? William, I would discourage you from setting goals on a every month basis. I feel that you really don't want to be changing your plans and your goals until you can be on track, you know, not just one time hit it and then change it. So you want to make sure that you can consistently hit, let's just say that 1% per month is your initial goal. You want to make sure that you can hit 1% per month, not just one time, but maybe a couple or 3 times before you go changing that goal to, say, 2%. I don't think it's a good practice to replan your goals every single month. You know, perhaps you do, but I don't feel that's a good practice. That said, I had a lady that's a user that is in fact doing that. So, you know, you can do it as often as you want. You can do it every day if you wanted to, or several times a day. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because the idea is to meet your goal not just one point in time, but to be on track to continually meeting your goal. You do not see the line that I have. You mean these other lines here, Nini, these dotted and dashed lines? That's because down here at the bottom, I'm showing the last 3 saved goals and plans. If I go to future planning, that may be the kind of thing that you see. Is that what you were talking about? That's probably the difference that you're talking about. And I double click that to expand it, but I've just got under future planning, that's the view I have. Under current goal, I'm not looking at a projection of the past, but just the current plan and goal, and it shows the values out here, of course, along those. When I'm looking at the last 2, it shows me the current one and the one before it. And the last 3, it shows me the current one, the one before it, and the one before that. That is probably what you meant. But if you go back to the future planning view, it will give you, I think you just called that a wedge. So yeah, it'll show you that. And you can also go back and forth in time on each side of the graph, adding more area in there if you want. I've got it set to default to 2 years. A month of, or a year of, a couple years of I'm sorry, 4 years. A couple years of prior and a couple years forward. Any other questions about GoalView? Sorry guys, this is a real pain going back and forth here. Let's go on to our trades. So I pulled out 3 trades for tonight, and the first one of those is ACOR. I will show this to you here on a slide, and then we'll go over to a live chart and I can show you more about it. As you can see, we had a downtrend that we have broken up through. We've broken up through it on, what I would call either a best friend, if you want to call it that, or you could call it a double doji sandwich. So a strong bullish day, 2 doji types, and then another strong bullish day following through. It ran us right up to the 100. We know on RBB, which is what this is, that 100 tends to be an area of pullback or consolidation. So I don't want to enter right here at resistance. In fact, because of these areas of potential resistance up here about 26.14, I decided I want to enter just above that, and then I just pulled 26.15 out of a hat, used that number. If we entered at 26.15, where would we put our stop? In my opinion, we can put our stop in pretty close, about 25.25, and then we can run clear up here to this next resistance level, almost 29.75. I put 29.70 because I want to sell into strength, and that allows us to have a very nice 3.11 to 1 risk reward ratio. This is how I laid it out. I called it a doji sandwich in a rounded bottom breakout, and you can see that. You could probably argue that this is a double bottom here and here. I'm not sure if you're seeing this here and here. You could call that a W pattern if you wanted, probably. At any rate, it is formed a bottom, has now broken up through the 50, and it is an RBB with the 200 up here above as our target direction. And I'm waiting for confirmation breaking through this resistance area here before I get in. So that's the first trade. Let's let's go to the second. Well, I guess let me go. I want to go to the second trade before I go to charts. So our next trade is PRAA. This is a nice consolidation. You can see we had a very strong run up. We had strong consolidation. Now we've got a bullish engulfing signal and breaking up through what is a resistance level. If we looked off to the left, I believe, you can see that we've got a resistance level there, kind of that petered out. You would draw it with a fat crayon. I said we enter at 33.27, which just happened to be the closing price, but you can put in a little bit above that if you like. Next real resistance, and there may be some resistance at these highs, but the next real resistance is up here about 38 and change. The slide has not changed. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let me try that all again. So this is PRAA. We've got consolidation that we're breaking out of, and you can see the nice run that we had. We've got the consolidation here. We're now breaking out on a bullish engulfing signal. We've come up through what is a resistance level. If we look off to the left, our next resistance level higher is up here around 38 and change. And we would be able to tuck our stop in right in below these lows. So I've got my stop in at 31.40, an entry of 33.27. Again, you could go in at 33.30, however you like. The next target, I want to get out a little bit before we hit that resistance. So I said 38.15, and then on up here above is the next strong resistance, and I said we want to get out at 41.65. The total cost under the trade. I'm not going to do the math, Coach, but yes, I will bet you that it is. Um, so this is the trade here. We're going to break even very quickly at 33.57, and we only need to really reach in this account, which is a fairly high goal. We need to reach 38.57 before we are actually meeting our goal. So, a chance to make $300 using this plan. A little over 2.25 to 1, 2.26 to 1 risk to reward with that particular setup. And let's change slides again. Okay, I've got to change things in two places, which is why we're having trouble here. The next trade is ALJ. A similar type setup. It's in an RBB. You can see that we've formed a bottom. We're now in an uptrend. We've broken the downtrend from before. And we've been consolidating here for the last 2 weeks. Yes, that's correct, William. I put that in there. If you wanted to plan it out and have shares at that further reach, you can do so. But I did not. So if you're looking at the plan, just ignore the third target. Or modify the shares so that you hit that third target. I call this a bullish doji sandwich within a consolidation, and it's really consolidation within around a bottom breakout. We can have a pretty tight stop here, 798, 795, someplace right in below these lows, right in below these highs. That's where we're going to expect to find support. And our first target, I'm going to assume that this 919 is not strong resistance. So I'm going to assume that our first resistance is up here about 974. So I'm looking at a 970 exit, which gives us almost 2 to 1. Not quite, but 197 is close enough to 2 for me. Francis, I'm going to have to shoot you. No, I won't shoot you. I just, for those of you who are listening on the video, she told me not to shoot her, so I won't shoot her. Or him. I'm not sure with that name. They are slides, that's why. And I will go to a live screen. Coach, you know, I'm not going to go back and do math right now, okay? If you want to hang around, we'll talk about that later. Where was I? Okay, that's the trades for tonight. I'm done with this. Questions. If anybody has questions, ask them now. Okay. One last thing, and I will go back and hit these other things first. But if anybody wants to talk to me, okay. CP, I'm not sure what you're asking. The question was, how does the Yahoo data feed work? They have an API that we use, which we submit them a ticker and they send us back a price. there's nothing that you need to set up. It's automated. We've already done the integration if that's what you're asking. Uh, Let me go over to screen sharing, close this down, close this down. If you look on the application at the lower left-hand side, it says that it's online, and you'll just notice that this little indicator light blinked. That indicator light blinked meant that it updated prices. Now, we're after hours, and so that's kind of meaningless here, but I've got, I don't know, 150, maybe 200 trades in this test database. Is there a listing of the older Trader Vision trades? Do you mean the trades that I've taken? Doug keeps track of all of his. I don't have time to do that. I wasn't real keen on the idea of giving out, 2 or 3 trades every time I do a workshop anyway. But at any rate, I have not kept track of the trades that I have presented as possibilities. And these are not guaranteed trades. In all cases, they are meant to take if the market shows that they are good. What was the question again? Oh, so you can see that you're online here, and then if you really wanted to check it, you click Get Price Now, and you can see that it was updating. And as of September 15th at 20:52:27, that's the current price. So that's how you know the integration is working. If it comes back with nonsense, that means you're not connected to Yahoo, and that has been a problem. Okay, good, Coach. Yeah, I knew the math was right, but I didn't know why you thought it was wrong. So at any rate, that's how you can tell that you are in fact online. Let me go on to these other questions. Susan, as I said, I have not kept a list of potential trades that I have thrown out there. My email, sure, ed@tradervision2020.com. And if I flip back over to, I think you can click on that and it will open up your email program and do a mail to, but that's the ed@tradervision2020.com. If you would like to talk to me, tell me what you like, what you don't like, what needs to be added or improved. I'd love to talk with you. I typically do those by Skype so that we can share screens, but in either case. Brad, yes, let me go back to this. So if I go to my trade log, I didn't make any changes. So if I go to my trade log, and I just did some cleanup here earlier tonight while I was waiting to start, but I would have a list of planned trades. They don't all need to execute the next day. Any of those trades, and I'll open up my charts here and go through those 3 again, but any of those trades, I may not get in the next day, depends on the market, depends on the stock and what they do. But I would have, a list of hopefully a short number, so, hopefully less than 10 that I'm looking at, and those will be the stocks that I'll be tracking when the market opens, and those will be the ones that I enter depending on which one is doing what it's supposed to do or so forth. Does that make sense? Well, they had messages with them, CP, but the important part was directing you to those videos. Those videos are on the website, or you can, within the application, click on this manual button here, upper right or left hand side. You click on that manual button, it will open up that web page. Scroll down to, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but it's a free trial video series or free trial series videos or something. That's where you'll find all of those videos that walk you through everything from welcome to setting it up to planning goals to, you know, entering trades and so forth. Yes, sir, Brad. I enter when they execute. So if we open up, let's just open up my chart and look at that ACOR that I talked about earlier. This is one of the three or four positions that I'm looking at. We've now broken this downtrend. We broke that downtrend earlier. We've got, you know, call it a double bottom. I'm calling it a double doji sandwich. Strong bullish day, two dojis, and then or two indecisive dojis, and then another strong bullish day. But we have not broken through the 100, where we tend to see a pullback or pause in a RBB. I set this line in here as support back in here and resistance over through here. So that's a key level, about 26.14. Again, you should draw that with a fat crayon as opposed to a fine tip marker. And so I want to get in just above that. Does it really matter if you get in below that or above that? Well, it's up to you. Do you want confirmation? You know, if you get in earlier, it's more likely that you'll have more times out of 10 you'll have the thing pause or not break through that resistance. If you wait for the confirmation of it breaking through, you're giving up a little bit of money. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I put my my stop in here about, geez, I can't remember, but it was probably someplace in there. Maybe it was down here, but I'm thinking it's up in here. I guess I can pull that back up. 25.25 is what I said. So yeah, right in here. Where support from these highs would give me a little support here. Barb, the button to update price is on TradeView. If you scroll down to Trade Management, Get Price Now is the button. And if you click it, you'll see that it automatically updates. It updates all the time constantly anyway, and you can tell that it's online by this lower left indicator. But if you wanted for some reason to get the manual price, this would get it for you now. Again, it's getting the price from Yahoo Finance, which means even when you just pressed this, half a second ago, that price is still 15 minutes old because that's the only data that Yahoo has. And that's why we're going to a brokerage integration as a way to get us some live data that doesn't cost us over $10,000 a month. So are there any questions on ACOR or why I like it or what I like about it? Let's go on to the next one then. So here's the PRAA. Oh, you're welcome, Barb. PRAA, again, we're going to have a golden cross here shortly, but what I like is we've had a nice run up. We've definitely made a bottom and we're starting back up. We are now at a resistance level. And so I'm looking for us to break out of that. And that may have been what we did today. We've broken out of this tight consolidation for sure. And hopefully we will, take out these highs. But I think that once we're up above this line, where we're catching highs here and highs and lows there and above those, we're probably good to go up until at least here and more likely up into there. And so that's what the plan is. Click the wrong thing. The plan is to, on PRAA, PRAA, to enter here about 33, we're at 33.27. I just chose the closing price. With 38.15 right up in here is our first target, and that's a little less than 14% away. We're going to have a fairly tight stop. It's 6%. It's not that tight, I guess, but that still gives us well more than 2 to 1. And again, I think based on the chart that probably stronger resistance is not here, but up in here. So that's what I would look for in that run. So getting up into the, the 24% area. And then let's do the last one, I guess it was ALJ. On ALJ, again, long-term downtrend broken. We've got an uptrend that's been going, so we are definitely now in an uptrend. We are in RBB, have been for a while, and we've been consolidating here for a while, and we held at this support level that was defined by these highs over here and these lows there. And today we had a nice day, so we're looking to break out and move forward. I'm looking for us to ALJ, great. Waiting on the screen here. Okay, William. I'm looking for us to enter about where we're at the close, which, really about the high of yesterday's candle, not today's. So right in there. And I'm looking to have a stop at 795, which is just down below the most recent consolidation. I'm looking at a first target up here at 970, which is just about the 200. And you can see how that has acted as support in the past, and support becomes resistance. So 795 as a stop, 970 as the first target, and 849 as an entry on that one, and it gives us 2 to 1, just slightly under. But again, you make 232 bucks on that trade with this particular setup, 200 shares. And somebody wants to see my ACOR plan again. Okay, ACOR chart and plan are both up. What can I do for you on that? Is there a particular question that you have? Let me spread things out so we can see it better. Francis, what can I do for you? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the chart is there, and you can see that we had a long-term downtrend that we've busted, and now we had a short-term downtrend that we just broke today. We're right at the 100, and so I'm looking to wait until we get out of this consolidation area, out of this resistance here, with support there, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. So I'm waiting for us to break that, and then we'll be off to the races and have a little bit of room to run up here to these highs from June, which were also a support area way back here in 2015, and also somewhat back here in That's probably earlier 2015. Okay, so that's how I picked those. Now I did want to show you one that I chose to pass on, not putting up today. Con is the plan, or is the stock. Let me explain what we've got here. We've got another rounded bottom breakout. You can see this long-term downtrend that we have taken out here in the last few days. We are above the 100 in the RBB. Today we had a bullish engulfing, but we're still in this consolidation area. So I would want us to get in above that. I also don't have a true support level, right here, maybe. So that's about the best I can count on. And if I did that, my numbers would look something like this. So on con, I was looking at a stop down around 895. So it's about here. And looking at a entry up around 965, so just above where we closed today. We closed at 960, so up a nickel. And then looking at a target up around 1075 and another target up around 1180. You can see why I chose those. That's a gap fill. That also kind of corresponds with support over here. And then the highs there and the lows there and the lows there define that 1185 area. That's why I chose it. And using that, I'm only getting a 1.4 to 1, which is not what I want. And so that's why I would pass on that trade. The logic for the stop on ALJ. Let me pull that up. Okay, can you see that we've had consolidation here? And you can see that this line has kind of been support and how that matches up to the highs over here, which means it was resistance over here and the support there. And if we go back further, well, without switching to a weekly chart, I can't go back much further here. So I suspect that that is a support level. I want to get down below that just a little bit so that we can test it but not, fall through it. So that's why I picked 795. I just drew that line in there at 798, and I'm going to put my stop in at 795 to give me a little bit of room. And let's just see this a second way that I sometimes plan my okay, so the V stop is something I sometimes use at 1.5 ATRs over a 10-day period. Is something I sometimes use as a place to figure my stop. And the V stop at 10 days, 1.5 ATR would probably be at $8. And so that 795 is pretty close. Gives us a chance to test it and go back up. The CP, why would you need to, because you're adding funds? Is that what you're saying? For the recording, the question was, I'm assuming you need to update your current account value periodically in setup view. Is it just arbitrary as to how often you should do that? And the question is, it updates your account value based on the results of every single trade. No, through winning trades, it's automatically updates. In fact, let me pull that up. So let's go to setup and accounts. You can see that the opening count balance, and I played with this today, so I needed to fudge it so that I could get an account similar to size that 70,000 I was asked to plan. So the opening balance was 50,000, and the results of all the trades that I've recorded is that it is now at 74,461. In the future, one of the features that was asked for and that we are adding is the ability to automatic or to have additions to this so that you can keep a accounting record. So audit trail showing that the opening balance was 50,000, and maybe once a month you put in $1,000 or whatever you did, and perhaps other people once a month they want to take a paycheck, so they're taking 1,500 out or whatever the actual numbers are, and it will then keep track of those things for you. Well, mutual funds would trade with this. Stan, I've actually got, or Mike, I've actually got several ebooks. I'm not sure what you mean. I don't use, way back when I used to use a trailing stop of 4% or some percentage amount, Roger. I do not use that. I use, based on the chart, what is logical. I chose this 795 level, for example, because of this, mostly because of this support and resistance over here. So it was support there, it was a resistance there, and you can see that it was support over here recently. So I want to get down just below that. That's how I chose the level. You can put in each trade that you want. So for example, you can go to TradeView and enter all of your trades, yes. If you have them in the correct format, you could import them through TradeLog. You could just import them. But if you don't, and almost nobody will, because you will not have recorded what the market biases were at the time of the trade and what signals and patterns were, etc. You can enter them manually. Wow. I honestly can't remember, Mike, because that's been like a year ago. I do a lot of webinars. So I'm not sure if the ebook that was discussed there covers a lot of what I do, but the fibs are another tool that I use quite a bit, particularly for looking for support and resistance. I find it's a great tool. I'm going to turn off the V-stop now so that it hides those dots for us. But let's just pick one here. Let's use Con. Con's an obvious one because we had the strong run and we got a little bit of consolidation pullback. So I would draw my fibs here. 3, 4, 5. And it's probably going to be over here. And wow, what do you know? You can see that the fibs drew the 61.8% extension is right up here where I had drawn a support line. That tells you it's doggone close. 100% is right up here, where we had highs and lows. Again, it's just kind of magic that they work. And then the 161.8 is up here pretty close to where I drew that off these highs as a potential level. And again down here, the 23.6. So I use fibs quite a bit. Doug and Rick almost never use them, but they know how to. They just don't use them. Yeah, Ernie. Yeah, entering in all your history and then particularly why you entered. The part of the value of Trader Vision is, being able to go back, and this is what William asked for, and I'm not going to have time to do it tonight, but being able to go through and look at, how you've done in all different conditions. If you record that information, you can then see how you've done on certain candle signals, on certain patterns, and overall. And that can be a real, yeah, I understand. If you have not journaled in the past and have not gone back, and even people that go to the trouble of writing a manual journal, I know a lot of people that because it's so much work, they do not go back and compile that stuff and look for patterns in the data. And if you're not a data uh, a data geek, an analyst type, and I happen to be, so I can talk that way. Um, you miss so much. You think you know things, and you may, in fact, know incorrect things about your trading. So something for you to consider. But yeah, I would definitely go through and add in my history, and you don't have to do it all at once, right? You doesn't have to be sitting down and do them all today. Do do a handful, do 20, do whatever, and come back to it next week or tomorrow or whenever. Any other questions? Does everybody see why I decided to pass on the con trade? It was a risk reward thing where with a stop down here and a first target up here, it just didn't work. Are we talking about con, Barb? 653. I'm looking at a low of 655. That's a 100% retracement of this run. My zero number is at the high, which is at the top of that run. Everything below it is retracement. Everything above that is extension. And I found that to be the best use of fibs. I've not had much success with Fibonacci projections showing up correctly, and I definitely don't use what I consider to be manipulated numbers. The 127.2, I know that some people swear by it. I'm completely against it. It was derived by taking the square root of another fib number, and it doesn't work as far as I'm concerned. I stick with the fib numbers and go from there. Anyway, sorry to get off track. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to turn the recorder off. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me. And I'm not going to expand that, but I'll do this much anyway. You can reach out to me here, ed@tradervision2020.com. And if you are a user and you would like to have influence on the next version, I would love to talk to you and find out what's working, what needs to be improved, what needs to be added, and so forth. And of course, I'll gladly answer your questions. So it's a chance to get some one-on-one time with me if that would be helpful. You certainly can. Go ahead and ask, Nini. Let me get a drink here. Nini, I'm not sure I understand. The question for the audio or for the video was how does when you change your goal, make a new goal, goal/plan. How does it impact closed trades? It doesn't impact them. Your goal plan is always starting this dotted line. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but there's a black dotted line right where the dark gray ends and the light gray begins. That is today. That is the date of the plan. So that's the date when the plan was created. And so if I create a new plan, and I create it today, so September 15th, that line will be over here. And the trades prior to that will not be impacted at all by the new plan. I see you're typing, so I'll wait. CP, thanks. I do hope it changes your life, and hope changes your trading for the better. That was certainly always our plan. Okay, Deanie, we'll just do it and see if that helps you. So let's say that we're going to create a new goal. So we lower this drop down box and we're going to add a new goal. And today's date is the date we're going to start. So it's going to start on 9/15. So this dotted line now is on 9/15, September 15th. And our new balance, again, it knocks us back to the current balance and says, okay, we got 74,000 and change. Let's run that up to whatever we think. 94,000 and change will take us up 2% per month over if we use a 12-month horizon. So, and let's just come up with a plan that seems reasonable to get there. If you change the existing number, I'm sorry, the question was no, if I change the existing goal without creating a new one. So if you modify the existing goal is what you're saying. So let's go back to that 8-1 goal. And you change what, the goal balance, you're going to increase it or decrease it? Is that what you're saying? Let's just run it down to 89,000. So we've decreased that goal value. And now we save it. Or well, let's just do this. Let's run the average win total down to 225 and save it. So we have not created a new goal, we just modified the existing one. If we go to trade view now and we scroll down here, I need to pull up a new trade. Okay. It does in fact change. So modifying the current goal does in fact change the goal value that you have to reach for a trade. So you can, in goal view, modify the trade. I guess I'm going to have to do this. Okay, we're back to the 8-1 goal. I've run it down to 225 and I've saved it. Trade view, new. And now you can see instead of 250, it shows that I've got a trade goal of 225. So you can modify in place. I don't think that's necessarily a good practice from an audit trail standpoint, but you can do it. And it does, in fact, change your trade goal. And for those of you who did not catch it, the reason that said 143 before is because I created that 915 goal without going through things very easy, very good, very well. I think I see you typing there, so I'm going to hang on just a little bit longer. That change to the current goal will have no effect on previous trades. So closed trades, this you know, to meet your goal, a trade needs to reach is only valuable during the trade. After a trade is closed, you know, the trade is closed. That record is closed. I'm not quite following what your question is. So what happens after my defined period? Are you talking about the defined period here? The 12 months into the future? That same rate is applied, you know, that goal, if I extend this over to the right, the goal continues off to the right. So let's just go over here. So I'm adding months to the chart, and you can see that the goal continues on out. The plan to reach that goal only went out 12 months. So we need to create and save a new plan, but you can see the chart off to the right if you want to. And the same thing goes back in the past. I hope that helps. Yeah, you can email me and we'll definitely get you taken care of. We can talk tomorrow, get you on the phone or on Skype or something. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn the recording off now. I want to thank everybody for coming and look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.